In this video, we're going to talk about how files work and how can we use Python to read or write to files. So a file is a sequence of data that is stored in secondary memory such as disk drive. Files can contain any data type, but the easiest to work with are text, which could use ASCII or Unicode text. A file usually contains more than one line of text, and Python uses the standard new line character \n to mark line breaks, and this is exactly the same thing as embedding \n in print statement. And by the way, \n is the ASCII code 10. Remember, these special characters only affect things when printed. They don't do anything during evaluation. And here's an example between the print new line and then file new line. So if you want to print hello \n, world \n, goodbye and \n, this will be printed as hello, another line world, two new lines, goodbye, and another empty line. So if you want to store it in a file like this, you would do the exact same thing. File processing. The process of opening a file involves associating a file on disk with an object in memory. We can manipulate the file by manipulating this object to read from the file or to write to the file. When done with the file, it needs to be closed. Closing the file causes any outstanding operations and other bookkeeping for the file to be completed. And in some cases, not properly closing a file could result in data loss. Working with text files in Python. First, associate a disk file with a file object using the open function. And here we have a file variable or a file object that is set to open, name, and mode. And then here name is a string with the actual file name on the disk. And the mode is either R or W depending on whether we're reading from the file or writing to the file. And here's the actual Python code. So in file is a file object that is set to open, and the name of the file is numbers.txt and comma, and the mode is R. And then here's the general process. So we open the file and then process the data, and then after that we close the file. Now let's see some important methods that associate with file processing. So first, the read method, file.read, returns the entire remaining contents of the file as a single and possibly large multi-line string. And another one, read line, returns the next line of the file. This is all text up to and including the next new line character. And then read lines returns a list of remaining files altogether in the file, and then each list item is a single line including the new line character. And some of the write functions, so we have file.write, writes a specified text to the file, and write lines method writes the items of a list to the file. And then here's a graphic representation of the file write operations, read operations, and the modes. And for the reference, let's see some file open modes. The first one is R. R opens a text file for reading, and that's the default mode. Second is R plus opens the file for both read and write operations. And the next one is W opens a file for writing and overwrites any existing content. And if the file doesn't exist, it actually creates the file. And W plus opens the file for both read and write operations. And A, which is an important one, opens a file for writing or creates a new one if the file not found, and it preserves the existing content and inserts data to the end of the file. And A plus opens the file for both read and write operations. Rest, it works the same as the A mode.